Welcome back to the Daughters of the Moon podcast. Mom and I are both grateful that you can join us for another week. And we are very excited today. We have Yelsbeth Fernandez on with us. She is the author of New Moon Life Design, Manifest the Life You Want Using Lunar Cycles, Tarot, and Astrologies. She is a tarot teacher and lunar guide based in New York City who helps people design intentional lives using lunar cycle, tarot, and astrology. By day, she works in finance as an office manager and wealth management. By night and under the moon, she leads new and full moon circles, offers seasonal rituals, and tarot readings. For over a decade, she has blended practical systems with intuitive wisdom, teaching people how to work with the phases and cycles of the moon and set intentions that they can actually follow through on. She works with herbs, keeping a journaling ecosystem, and believes saying yes spirals us into synchronicity. So, welcome, Elspeth. We're so excited for you to be here. Very
Thank you
much.
so much for having me here. I really appreciate it. And I'm excited to talk about my book and also talk with you about the moon, one of my
Yes.
pet
It's our favorite thing too. So tell us about your book.
My book is about working with lunar cycles, tarot, and astrology. And the way that they've come together is the moon is like a calendar. The astrology is guiding your focus each new moon. And the tarot is a shortcut into your intuition. So all three of them come together through journaling. And what you do is like the moon will guide you like when to begin, when to build, celebrate, release, and reset. And you do it again the next new moon, the astrology tells you like what to focus on. Each astrological sign has a different focus area. And if you do this over the course of a year, you would have focused on every major aspect of your life. And then the tarot, it taps into your intuition and it works like a mirror so that you can see your blind spots and you can see like what's hindering you and also what's motivating you to move forward. And then altogether, that is a personal development practice that will give you clarity and direction to move forward towards the life that you want.
I like that. Because I think there's so much knowledge in like the tarot and the astrology and then combining it with the moon cycles. And I think a lot of people don't really understand how we manifest and do these different things with the different cycles of the moon. So can you talk a little bit about kind of the moon cycles and what they're good for?
So each moon cycle has different phases. There are 8 different phases. In my practice, I focus on 4 of them, and the last one is reset, which is the dark moon and the new moon kind of like mixed together. But the idea is at the new moon, it's when the moon is invisible in the sky, and it's a moment where it's kind of like a portal is open. And that's when you set your wishes, you make intentions, and you become focused on what it is that you want to bring into your life. And then a week later, we have the waxing moon. And that is a time to begin to build on what it was that you set your intentions on. And that's when you put focus in. And really, this is the most important part because anything that you put attention on and that you focus on is going to help you get there faster. I think if you set an intention and then you forget about it, it may happen. But if you focus on that thing and you nurture it, it will come to fruition much faster. The full moon is, I think, the phase that gets the most attention. It's the most showy. The moon is fully visible in the sky. And that is a time for celebration. I find that it's really important to focus on whatever progress you've made. And if you haven't made progress, I think it's also a great time to focus on forgiveness. Like, why didn't you make progress? And it's kind of like whatever excuse may be there or whatever reason, forgive yourself and then, start over again. like you could release that at the next phase where you would take stock of what happened during the moon cycle, and then you notice what you want to continue, and then you notice what you'd like to release, and then you reset and you do it all over again at the next new moon. And you could set new intentions, or you can build upon the intentions that you set the previous moon.
I
So
like
that's,
that.
yeah, that's how I see manifestation. It's not like, oh, let me light a candle and make a wish and it's going to happen. It could, but I think it requires work as well.
Right. Yeah, we would agree with that, and we're very big on that because it's like saying, "Ooh, I want to lose all this weight, but I'm just going to sit on the couch and eat some potato chips, and hopefully it will happen because I put it out there, right?" And it's like, no, you got to get off the couch and do some, walking or some exercising or something. So I think it's goes hand in hand with that. And I love how you say that, it's that forgiveness time if you haven't met those goals of looking back on it and having a little bit of grace with ourselves to be able to say, well, we didn't. Why didn't we? What can we do different in this next cycle coming up? And I think that's probably where the journaling and the astrology and the tarot comes into it.
Yeah. So the reason why I think journaling is so important is because when you handwrite, it kind of taps into another part of your brain. And I think it's the part of the brain that's most like intuitive. Um, yeah, I would say it's like the most intuitive part of the brain. When you're writing, you can get messages. And then to speed up the messages or to get even more ideas, the tarot works as like the mirror. So in my practice, I have a 5 card tarot spread that it's the same tarot spread every single new moon, and I've been doing it since I first learned about it in it was the Virgo new moon in 2015. I had just completed a retreat with Joanna Powell Colbert. She is the author of the Gaian Tarot. And someone mentioned to me that I should do her new moon tarot spread. I didn't know, I didn't have a moon practice at that point. I didn't know anything about it really. And she insisted that I do this practice, and I followed her guidance, started doing the tarot spread. And the idea is that at the new moon, like the 5 cards represent the different moon phases. So you start with the center card, that's the new moon. Like, what is the seed that you're planting to grow? At the For the waxing moon, card 2 is what do you nurture so that it can grow? At the full moon is what are you celebrating or forgiving? Waning moon, what do you release? And then card 5 is what is the seed for the next new moon? And then card 5 becomes card 1 for the next new spread. So all of the spreads are interconnected, and it's kind of like your past, present, and future self are interconnected throughout the time that you're doing this tarot spread. So it's when I was growing up, there was a song, This is the Song That Doesn't End. So it's kind of
Yep.
like that. It just keeps going. And I really think card 5 is really important because it's kind of like a look into the future. It's kind of like, okay, what am I going to focus on next new moon? And as you know, I don't know if you know, but the tarot card has what people consider to be like negative, positive, and neutral cards. So with whatever type of card you get for that card 5, it's kind of like a look into the future. And then you have an idea of how you're going to like manage that energy coming into your life. And then you have like a whole month to do it, which I like to call a whole month to do it, as opposed to a month, because a moon cycle is 29 and a half days and a month is about 30 days.
Right.
Oh,
That's amazing. That is very cool. I think that's very cool, and I love how it kind of just interacts with each other so you can build on that. So, can you use any tarot deck then that you have, or does it have to be a specific one or
it can be any tarot deck. Um, I wrote meanings for all 78 cards in my book, And I decided to base the meaning on the astrological correspondence and the modality that is part of the card as a way to learn tarot and astrology together as one. I think each one colors the other and it gives like an extra layer of meaning to both. So if you're looking at a tarot spread, you could look at the astrological correspondences and get more information, and vice versa. You could look at your chart and then think about which tarot card is associated with either the sign, the modality, or the planet, and then get more information at that point as well. So I've written the book that way so that you can insert any tarot card and still have it mean something for
So,
whatever reading you're doing.
so could they use an oracle card as well then, or just a tarot?
You could use an oracle card, but when you like you wouldn't find the meaning in the book.
Right.
But
Okay.
yes, of course, you can use oracle cards. When I host moon circles, I include both a tarot deck and a oracle deck because some people find that the tarot card can be intimidating. Sometimes they'll mix, they'll use a oracle card for some of the positions in the tarot spread and a tarot card for the rest. It's really up to you how you want to do your practice. If
Right.
you feel more comfortable with an oracle deck, you can. I also have like a second part of the spread that I do at the full moon, and sometimes I prefer to use an oracle deck for the second part.
Okay. Because I use a tarot deck most of the time, but when people ask for an oracle deck, I will use that. But on the most part, I like the tarot. It's my favorite.
I like the tarot. I think like building a relationship with it helps it to become more meaningful and to have more meaningful readings because you know like different aspects of each card and each reading is different, so you'll get different types of answers for the same card, just depending
Mhm.
on the energy of the reading.
Yeah, and it's good
Mhm.
that you have like broken it down for the 78 cards then too, for that people can just like quick look at if they don't understand tarot that much and can just
Right.
like, oh, this is kind of what it means. And then I suspect that as you pull this spread and you put them into the different five positions there, then you probably reflect on them and journal on those things. Would I be
Mhm.
correct?
Yes. Yes. So for each of the 78 cards, I wrote like the astrological correspondence. I also wrote like a more traditional meaning and what I like to call an upward spiral and what it's like on a downward spiral as opposed to like reversed. And I always read my tarot spreads upright. I like to control them and I make them all be upright. But if you do get an upside down card, you could either turn it around or look at the downward spiral meaning. But for me, I find that the other cards tell you if it's upward spiral or downward spiral. And if you really like reflect on where you are at the moment, you'll know if it's an upward spiral or a downward spiral. And in addition to that, I also included like a short meaning for if you get the card at the new moon, waxing moon, full moon, or waning moon. So if you have no idea, like you've never used tarot before, it can be intimidating to come up with your own meaning. So even I'll go to my book and I'll like look up the meaning and be like, oh, okay, this is good. Like these are some good keywords that I can use in my journaling practice. And also like good reminders. So yeah, that's how I've been doing it.
Yeah, cool. I do mine upright too. I find the cards around it telling me the story. And yeah, if there's anything negative there, the court of, I find it tells you with the spades anyways, sort of thing with the association. So yeah, I do that too. Yeah, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
I like how it's all interwoven together and how
Yes,
you
me
can
too.
just and like I said, as how it just kind of goes with each cycle and how it just adds on. So when you're putting these questions, I guess if you were to do it for the first time,
Mhm.
So you can just ask a specific question, like if you were more curious about health or you were curious about business, or can you just put it general and just what comes up comes up?
Yeah. I like to do both, like ask a question. If somebody comes to me for a reading and they'll say like I want to have a reading about health, I'd ask some more information from them and then design a spread based on what it is that they want to know about. But if they come to me and say that they want a more general reading, I will normally do the Celtic Cross.
Okay. Yeah, that makes
Yeah,
Okay.
and
sense.
sometimes even if they do like have a question, sometimes I'll just do the Celtic Cross because it's 10 cards and I added two extra cards at the end. And so it's 12 cards. It basically tells you everything you need to know. I really like to do the Celtic Cross and it shows everything you need to know. And if there are follow-up questions, I normally don't even have to pull additional cards. Sometimes I will if a card that's perceived as negative comes up, then I will pull another card and ask the deck to show me like what that would look like in a more positive light. And most of the time, I will get another positive card as opposed to what's perceived as negative.
So do you have your book with you so you can have a look at it?
It's right here.
Ooh,
I just
nice.
got it in the mail a couple of days ago.
Nice,
That's
nice.
exciting.
It
That
is
must have just been
exciting.
like a woo! I got this. I did this. That's so exciting.
Yeah, I've been keeping it kind of like close. I haven't like the cover is on social media, and of course you can pre-order it, but I haven't like posted it online yet. But I will. I will. I've just been keeping it to myself for a little bit. So yeah, it's here.
That's
Nice. It's very
beautiful.
pretty.
Very
Years of
Nice
beautiful.
work.
cover. Nice
Um,
cover.
there is one part in the book. It's page 47, and it's a chart. And this chart includes all 78 tarot cards. It has the 10 planets, the 12 signs, the houses. It shows the modality, the element, and the seasons. So if under like going through this book is the key to learning this chart. To
Okay.
me, that's like a great way to understand like the correspondences between tarot and astrology.
Right.
I like to make spreadsheets. So this chart started as a spreadsheet and then it became a circle graph. And then I like added all of the cards, but it was a way for me to understand the correspondences between tarot and astrology. And I find that having learned that has given me a much deeper connection to my readings and it gives it a lot more color. And also, I like to use it for timing. So,
Okay. Yep.
yeah.
That's
That makes
amazing. So
sense.
do you need to know anything going into this book when you start this? Like, do you need to know like your rising sign and your sun sign, those things?
I recommend that you do look up your chart and find out your sun sign, rising sign, moon sign, like all of those. I think it's important to know because the most important one is really the rising sign because the rising sign is the one that sets your chart up. For example, I'm a Gemini rising, so that means my ascendant is in Gemini, and that also means that my chart starts in Gemini. Whereas if you were an Aries rising, it would start in Aries. If you were a Scorpio, it start in Scorpio. So that would determine where the moon is in your chart when it's transiting through other signs.
Okay.
Uh,
That makes sense.
Does that make sense?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that it's important to know like where it is for that reason, but I also understand that not everybody knows at what time they were born. So in my book, I offer the idea to use your sun sign as your rising sign. You could use that. the other thing you can do is to choose which is going to be your rising sign. And I like to think of it as like with the zodiac sign models. So, each zodiac sign has a model. So if you decide your I am energy, so if you think I am nurturing, then maybe start with Cancer. If you think I am seeking, then maybe go to a Sagittarius. So there are like different ways to do this. You can get creative. Like if one year you use your rising sign, then maybe the next year you can use a different sign just to like bring that energy into your life and for it to color whatever intentions it is that you're bringing in for that year.
Good to know because I've always been, my mother thinks I was born at 2:30 in the afternoon. She doesn't remember. And so that's good information. Gives me an opportunity to look at myself in different ways. That's great. Good. That's good to know.
Yeah. I have an aunt who didn't know at what time she was born, and we went through the signs. So I asked her a series of questions, and we decided that she was more earthy. So we narrowed it down to those three signs. And then after asking more questions and talking about each of the three signs, we decided that she was a Capricorn rising. And months later, maybe a year later, she came back and said she found her birth certificate and she is Capricorn.
Oh, that's so funny.
So
That's
you
That's
can
awesome.
you can do
That's
that as
amazing.
well.
Yeah, it's always interesting, I think, like when you're reading your horoscope or something, when you know the two, and then you are reading them, and then sometimes you're like, ooh, today's more of a Scorpio day for me.
Well, yeah, because you're claiming that energy,
Yeah,
so why
yeah.
not?
Yeah, I love that. Well, I love this book sounds so exciting
It
and
does.
so interesting because I think it's going to be very interactive with people when they're reading it as well, right? To be able to do, and I'm a huge fan of journaling. So like
Mm,
you said that in spreadsheets, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is my girl.
yeah,
Well,
yeah,
wait.
making spreadsheets. I'm sorry.
You are a girl.
Yes,
All about spreadsheets, all about the journaling. But
Which is
but I
good.
love it because I think journaling when we use it properly and we can reflect on the things in our life and what we're trying to accomplish and get rid of really at that point, it really helps to open up our minds a little bit more. It opens us up to be that much more intuitive, to maybe even start automatic writing and things like that when we start doing a lot of this journaling and start becoming more intuitive that way.
absolutely. And also is an opportunity to what I call time travel. Because I'll write something at the beginning of the new moon and then I'll go back to that page and is like I'm seeing it with new eyes because I've had a week or two of life that happened and also like a week or two of reflection. And looking at that again, it brings up new ideas and it also shows me like how far I've come. And also I like to look even further back. So like we're gonna have a new moon in Pisces. So I will look back in my journal to when the moon was full in Pisces or maybe
Okay.
the previous moon, and then see like where I was and what has come to fruition because a new moon to a full moon cycle is 6 months. So a lot can happen in 6 months. And I find that looking back and seeing the progress really helps propel me further into the future and like into the future that I'm envisioning for myself.
Okay. So can you
Good.
talk
Good.
about a little bit about the new moon in Pisces that's coming?
So this new moon in Pisces is going to come at 28 degrees, which means that the moon or the sun, so both the sun and moon, because each new moon means that there's a conjunction between the sun and the moon. So the sun has traveled all through Pisces. So we've gotten all of the energy of Pisces, which is imaginative, it is intuitive, it's about going within. And we've lived through that energy of the sun being in the sign all the way to the 28th degree. And now we're going to set our intentions in a moment where we have had the experience. So I think that it's a culmination. It's going to be like a more um like wise time to set the intentions. And also it's like it's a good time not only to set intentions, but to set intentions on closing a chapter because it's the end of the astrological year, and then like the next day the sun goes into Aries, like a day or two later the sun goes into Aries, and then it's the start of an astrological new year. So I think for this particular Pisces new moon, because it's happening so late in the cycle, it's a good time to set intentions about like more of a reflective practice, like what you would like to see close so that you can make room for what's to come at the astrological start of the year in Aries.
Nice.
Yeah, I like that. I'm just making my brain go, oh, what do I want to release? What do I need to make more space for? Because we don't
Well,
often think about that, right?
exactly. Well, in my practice, every lunar cycle, there is a moment for reflection. So at the waning moon tells you to release. So it's a good time to like look back and see what has happened. And since you mentioned you like to keep a journaling practice, it's a good time to review your journal. Like I like to pick up my journal and like look back and see if I'm remembering things correctly or if I'm forgetting something. Like what was I thinking 5 years ago or 10 years ago when I attended whatever it was. So maybe do a little time travel so that you know what it is that you'd like to release.
That's a great thing. I was like the other day I was thinking about that because I got a big drawer full of old journals and then I dream journal. So I did it together and then I started it separate. Anyways, I got a lot of journals and I was just like, what do you do with these? Like, do you keep them? Do you like toss them? Do you burn them? Like, I didn't know the answer, but I like that you can keep them and just reflect back onto them. So.
I definitely keep them. I did get rid of some journals when I was younger and I regretted it. So I have kept all of my journals since like 20, no, maybe like 1998. I have journals from 1998, maybe 1999. They probably go back that far. The older ones, I got rid of those. So yeah, I'm keeping my journals.
It is nice to reflect. It is nice to reflect. It is sometimes nice to reflect on too, to see the patterns that we keep repeating, right? Like, and I often reflect this when I am journaling. It's like, you've said that this is something that you are, leaving your life, but you are still inviting it back in some way because you're just repeating this pattern, maybe in a different way, maybe, not as intense, but I find this interesting to look back to think about that as well.
Absolutely. That's one of the things that's interesting about the journaling with the new moon because the sun and moon keep coming back to the same place in the sky every year. So some people ask me, well, am I going to always journal about the same thing? The answer is yes, you are going to journal about the same thing, but it's not going to be the same because you're not going to be the same. Your perspective is going to have changed because you have gained wisdom, you've gained experience over that time. So when you look at that question again, and it's the same question, it's the same themes, you're not the same. So you're going to approach whatever theme is coming up for you from a different perspective of yourself. And if you've kept a practice for a while, you could look back and see like, well, what did I set intentions about this last cycle? Do I still want that? Did I get that? If I didn't get it, is it something for that because I thought I should, or maybe somebody told me I needed that. And I think when things don't happen is because it's something that we don't really want, that maybe we're doing it because we think we need that, or we think that's the next logical step.
Hmm. Yeah. I agree with that, and I think Mom would as well. That we often put out these things that we do want into life, and to manifest or bring into our lives, and then all of a sudden we're like, what, I don't think that fits me anymore. And a lot. It's okay to just say, what, that doesn't fit me anymore. I'm moving into a different direction, or I've grown in a different way. Something's inspired me. I saw a meme the other day, and I thought it was really good, and it was like a billionaire's advice was if you're ever wondering what to do in a situation, flip a coin because when the coin is in the air, you'll know what you truly want. And I thought, that is so ingenious because you do, right?
I think most of the time, yes. I think I know. Whenever I flip a coin, I'm like, I don't want that. I want this. So yes, I do agree with that. And then there are those moments when you don't know. It's kind of like you're neutral. So I think flipping a coin is great.
Yeah, I just thought it
I
I
do it
just
all
thought
the
it was
time.
an interesting meme. I thought, yeah, there's some truth to that.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, you could also pull a card
Yeah,
and
I
see
like
what
that
comes
better.
up. Yeah.
you do that too.
I often find it interesting because as part of my morning practice, I always pull a card. I like journal and pull a card, and then I always find it funny because I'll pull the card and I'm like, I was literally just journaling about that. Like literally just, and then it's interesting what kind of corresponds throughout the day of, you know, oh, okay, that's where my brain is right now. That's what I'm thinking. So I'm
Right.
excited to pull in some of this lunar cycles and stuff into my practice, get your book.
See how it works. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a great practice. And I've been doing it since 2015, so just over 10 years. And it's something that has grown. So it started with the tarot spread, and then about 5 years later, I added in the astrology. And then no, first it started with the tarot spread. Like I started with tarot. That was how I came into this world. So I was like doing tarot for like 5 years. Then I learned about the lunar cycle, and I started doing that tarot spread with the lunar cycle. And then it was like after 5 years that I thought I need to learn astrology if I really want to understand like when the moon is in a sign, like what does it mean for me? Like what is Mercury retrograde? Why are people always talking about that? So I added that like 5 years later. So like the whole practice took like a long time for me to develop, but it came very naturally, and it was like a natural progression. And the thing that was constant was the lunar cycles. The astrology was constant. The tarot spread was constant because it's the same questions each time. What developed was the journaling around it, and how I was approaching the the journaling practice, I guess. And I've been doing that through I have a guided journal and planner that I've been using. So it has like is like I said, it's like the same prompts, but since I'm answering them in a different time of my life, it's always something new.
Nice.
Very
Very
nice.
nice.
So what inspired you at this point to write this book then?
So I in 2020 during the pandemic, I decided to invite my friends on Zoom, and we were kind of like doing like a moon circle on Zoom, and my friends and family were asking a lot of questions. They didn't understand like the lunar cycle or the tarot or the astrology, so I started creating workbooks, and then at that point, I was in school and I had just created a website for a class. I took like a web design class for my communications and media degree. And I decided to make my website the website that I have now. So it started from a class. And then I started writing blog posts about each lunar phase. So I would write a blog post per week based on where the moon was and what phase it was in. And from there, I started creating workbooks that I sold at this flower shop. It's not a flower shop, it's called Flower Power. And they sell herbs and roots there. And I was apprenticing as an herbalist for a while there. And then later, I started hosting moon circles and I sold my journals there. And Teresa Reed, the tarot lady, which I think you know her,
Yeah.
she, when she comes to New York, she loves to go to the East Village and she loves to go to that store. And she saw my journal there. And later, she ended up writing me on Instagram. And she asked me if I wanted to talk about writing a book. And at first, I thought it was a scam. I was like, what? I couldn't believe it, but I was like, no, no, it's her because I've met Teresa. I've met her at the reader studio a lot of times. But at first I was like, wait, is this a scam? So long story short, she told me she saw my book, my journal, and she asked me if
Excuse me.
I wanted to write a book. And then I thought, yes, I know exactly what I want to write about. Lunar cycles, tarot, and astrology, and to design the life you want. So I wrote up a proposal. She showed it to her publisher, and here we are. New Moon Life Design is out.
Nice.
That's very exciting. Very
Good story
exciting. And
too.
yeah, and just goes to show people, right, when you have these passions and how they just kind of grow and bloom into something beautiful like a book. So will there be at some point maybe a companion book to this that has like the journaling and the different cycles that, sort of as a reflective journal?
Yes, and also I forgot to mention that Teresa wrote the foreword for my book.
Ooh,
So
very
yeah.
nice. That's awesome.
So So it's I feel like I've done a lot of things out of order. So instead of writing the book first, I wrote the journal first. So this is my journal. It's called New Moon Spiral, and it has the whole practice in the journal already. So the book was basically it's like the book to the journal even though the journal came first, but the book is the expanded version where you can find all of the answers to all of the not all of the prompts, but at least to all of the tarot prompts and like all of the idea of like the planets and the modalities. Because I find that journaling about which is like not just the sign itself, like let's talk about Pisces, but also let's talk about the planetary ruler of Pisces, like what energy does that bring in? So then you're thinking about Neptune. If you think about also like the 12th house, like how does that affect you? Like how are you when the moon is there? So all of that is part of the journaling practice along with a series of keywords that are associated with each of the signs. And then the question is like, what do you want to continue, cultivate, and release? So you're looking at these keywords, you're looking at the sign, the modality, the planetary ruler, and then you look at yourself and you say, what do I want to continue? What do I want to cultivate? And what do I want to release? And then after you've done that, that's when I ask, what are your intentions? And then we do like the tarot spread. And then there are a few more questions that I ask. It's about like journaling with the zodiac signs motto and also creating a more focused intention with some prompts. So, and then there are like pages also for the waxing moon, for the full moon, and the waning moon, and then you do it all over again.
I love that. That's amazing. I really like that. And so your book comes out April 1st. Where
Yes.
can you get your book and your journal and all things you?
So all things me are on my website. It's called yesspiral.com. And the reason why I came up with the name is because saying yes to the things that you want, the things that you're drawn to, the things that are good for you, spiral you into synchronicity. So that's what Yes Spiral is. And there you will find a link to it's available wherever books are sold. My S- Spiral Journal is available at a few stores in New York City, and it's also available online on Amazon.com. It's self-published. And on the Aries new moon, I am going to start a moon club. It's kind of like a book club. So we're going to use the book and we're going to set intentions and do the tarot spread in community and also talk about what comes up throughout the cycle because I find that saying things in a group or like saying things out loud while being witnessed helps that to come to fruition. Because
True.
if somebody else witnesses something that you said, I feel like there's more of a commitment to
Yeah,
making it
that's true.
happen. It's kind of like the accountability partner. So I think of like the moon is one accountability partner. When you see that it's like a waxing moon, you're like, okay, I have to make action on my intention. And when it's a full moon, it's like, okay, what do I have to celebrate? So the moon is one accountability partner, but then your friends and family, those are the other accountability partners that can help you to focus on what it is that you want to bring in and remind you that you said you wanted to do this thing. Yeah,
That,
it's a little less subtle.
that's excellent. And I think a moon club is great because there's a lot of people that maybe don't have the people that they can reach out and share this stuff with, right? And so
That's
I
right.
think you offering something like that is amazing. And
Yeah.
is that going to be through your website then?
There's a link on my website to
Okay.
join,
Okay.
and I am hosting this on School with a K, Skool. But if you look up Yes Spiral Moon Club, it should come up if you search it on Google. And if you go to my website, you can certainly access the link from there. April 17th at the new moon in Aries. And another place that I can be found is on Substack. I started writing a waning moon reflection there. So once a month, I'm posting something there. And my blog on my website has a blog for each of the 12 zodiac signs and each of the four lunar phases for each of the signs, amongst
Beautiful.
a lot more things. Yeah.
Sounds like there's lots to delve into. So I think that's really exciting for people. And, we're so glad that you were with us here today because it's very inspiring listening to you and how people can pull this into their practices to really start to live the life of their own design of things that they want to do. So if you had a final word to leave with our followers and us, what would it be? Or a thought. I guess not a word.
Say yes to anything that makes you feel happy.
Good
Perfect.
one.
That
That's
is
good.
that is good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being with us. We really appreciate it and we love talking to you. We'd love to have you back anytime. We'll be waiting for your next book that I feel like is coming anyway. So I'm just gonna throw that out.
I think so too.
I was like, you
Keep you
just wrote
busy.
one. Do you say, are you gonna write another one? Because feels like you are.
I might. I'm not sure. I'm basking in the glory of my first one.
Yes, yes,
Um,
basking in
but
the glory.
but we'll see. There might be more to come. But definitely, I would love to be back and have conversation with you about the moon, tarot, astrology, or anything else.
Wonderful.
Beautiful.
Well,
Good
thank you so
stuff.
much again. It was awesome spending time with you.
It
And
was. Yes, it was. You're a
everybody
busy
else,
girl.
yeah. And everybody else, we'll see you on the next one.
You bet.